everyone, this is Mejabin Fatima, Commerce lecturer at Elizabeth High School and Junior College. Welcome back to my class. So today in this session we are going to start 8th chapter of Commerce, that is internal trade. Now let's proceed with our chapter. Let's see the introduction part. Trading activity is the backbone of business activity, and without it there will be no meaning in discussing about business. It is because it enables the exchange of goods between the producers and consumers. So we cannot define business without trading. So trading activity, it's nothing but it's a backbone of business activity, and without it there will be no meaning for the word business. And this trading activity will enable the exchange of goods and services between the producers and consumers. If the exchange is effected between the producers and consumers within the boundaries of the country, such trade is called as internal trade. If the exchange takes place between people residing in different countries, such trade is termed as international trade. So actually there are two types of trade. If there is a trade between the producers and consumers within the boundary of the country, then that trade is called as internal trade. And if the exchange of goods and services will takes place between the people who are residing in different countries, then such trade is termed as international trade. This chapter is devoted to explain the important features of internal trade, types of internal trade, etc. After going through this chapter, the reader will have a perfect knowledge on internal trade activity. So actually this chapter is totally based on the important features of internal trade and types of internal trade. Now let's see what is the meaning of trade. The manufacturer or producer produces goods when they move on to the wholesaler, then to retailer, and ultimately to the consumers. So actually the manufacturer or the producers, they will produce the goods and then they will move those goods to the wholesaler, then wholesaler will move towards retailers, and ultimately the customers or consumers will get those goods from the retailers. The goods, whether made as per the will of the producer or as demanded by the consumer, must move from the producer to the ultimate consumer. So whatever the product may be, if that product is made by the wish or will of the producer or by the demand from the consumer, whatever that may be, but that product must definitely move from producer to the consumer. The last stage in this process, that is the activity connected with exchange of goods, is called trade. So whatever the activity is taking place, that these goods they are transferring from the producer to the consumer or they are moving from producer to the consumer, that activity is termed as trade. So in simple terms we can say that trade is nothing but buying and selling of goods and services for money and money's worth. It involves exchange or transfer of goods and services. So trade does involve exchange of goods and services. Trade is meant for the satisfaction of human wants. It is conducted not only to earn profit but also to provide pre and post sale service to the consumers. Trade is an ever important social activity because all human beings need uninterrupted supply of goods to satisfy their ever changing and unending wants. It means that trade and human lives are intertwined. Trade would enhance the standard of living of consumers directly and indirectly. So trade will give the satisfaction to the human wants. See, we all know that human being have unlimited desires and wishes. So here trade is also a part of his wish, we can say. Whatever the human being he is wishing to have, then he can have it by the help of trade. So trade is nothing but it is an important social activity because all human beings they need uninterrupted supply of goods to satisfy their ever changing and unending wants. Let's see what are the types of trade. Depending upon the geographical limits within which trade is carried out, the trade is categorized into home trade and foreign trade. Home trade again is divided into wholesale trade and retail trade. The same is depicted in the following. So trade will also help in enhancing the standard of living of human being, and depending upon the geographical limits within which the trade is carried on. Trade can be categorized into two, that is home trade and foreign trade. Now again when we will see home trade, again it has been divided into two categories, that is wholesale trade and retail trade. And when we will see foreign trade, it has been divided into three categories, that is import trade, export trade and entrepot trade. Now let's have a glance at each of these types of trade. So trade can be divided into two types, that is internal home trade or domestic trade. So there are actually three names for home trade: internal trade and domestic trade. And for foreign trade also there are other two names, that is external trade or international trade. Let's see internal trade first. Internal trade, also referred to as home trade of domestic trade, is conducted within the political and geographical boundaries of a particular country. It can't take place at local or regional or national level. To cite an example, the exchange of goods taking place between the buyers and sellers at Hyderabad, Mumbai, Chennai or any other places is called home trade. It is because the exchange is taking place within the boundaries of India. So, as discussed earlier, internal trade is nothing but that trade which is happening between the boundaries of India or inside the boundaries of India only, not in any other country. Here the example is given that exchange of goods is taking place between the buyers and sellers of particular city, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Chennai or other places, but that trade is taking place between the boundaries of the country, but not outside the boundaries of the country. So that is called as internal trade. Internal trade, as highlighted in chart 1, can further be subdivided into two groups, namely wholesale trade and retail trade. Now we have seen that again internal trade has been divided into two types, that is wholesale trade and retail trade. Now let's have a look at wholesale trade. Wholesale trade involves purchasing goods in large quantities from producers or manufacturers and selling in smaller lots to retailers for resale to ultimate consumers. So wholesale is nothing but purchasing goods in a large quantity. Here the quantity of the goods will be huge, and that quantity of goods will be taken from producers or manufacturers, and by taking those quantity of goods, again the retailers, they will resell those goods to the ultimate consumers. The wholesaler is the connecting link between manufacturer and the retailer. So here the wholesaler will have the role as the connecting link between the manufacturer and the retailer. His service assume a lot of prominence and importance to both producer and retailer. Now let's have a look at retail trade. Retailing means cutting again. For example, a wholesale trader X involved in the distribution of toothpaste may sell 10 boxes of toothpaste consisting of 10 units each, and each unit weighing 200 grams to the retailer. Y would sell them to the consumer as per their requirements. Here one should understand that X, the wholesaler, sells the commodity in bulk quantities in the retailers, and Y is one such retailer who sells the commodity to the consumer in a very small quantity. The essence of the discussion is that retailing involves two steps. So actual meaning of retailing here is cutting again. So the example is given that if the wholesaler or manufacturer is giving the goods to the retailer, then they are giving in the large quantity or bulky quantity, and again those retailers, they are taking from the bulky quantities and they are selling those goods to the consumers in a small quantity. So they are taking from the manufacturers or wholesalers in a bulk quantity or huge quantity, but they are selling those goods to the consumers in small quantity, like one, 2, etc. So here the essence of discussion is that retailing involves two steps actually. So first one is buying goods from the wholesaler, and another one is selling the goods in very small quantities to the consumers for their personal consumption or use. So here the work of the retailer is that he will buy the goods from the wholesaler in a large quantity or huge quantity, and again he is selling those goods to the consumer in a small quantity or for the consumer's personal consumption. And it is important to note that a retail trade could be a small establishment such as kirana shop or an ice cream parlor. It can as well be a very big establishment, but as a mall or a supermarket. So here there is an important note given that retail trade could be in a small establishment such as kirana shop or ice cream parlor, etc. Or it can be as in the big establishment as well, like mall or a supermarket. Now let's learn about the external trade. So external trade, also known as foreign trade or international trade, refers to buying and selling between traders of two or more countries. For instance, if Mr. X, who is a trader from Warangal, sells chili powder to Mr. Y, a consumer from Maldives, X is the exporter and Y is the importer, and the exchange of goods between them is called the foreign trade. So external trade, as discussed earlier, it is a trade between the countries. So here it can be considered as foreign trade or international trade, where it refers to buying and selling of goods and services between the traders of two or more countries. Here the example is given that Mr. X, who is from Warangal, he is selling his chili powder to Mr. Y, who lives in Maldives, and X is the exporter here and Y is the importer, and the exchange of goods between them is called as foreign trade. External trade can further be subdivided into export trade, import trade and entrepot trade. So again, as we have discussed earlier, that this foreign trade has been divided into three types, that is import trade, export trade and entrepot trade. Now let's have a glance at each of those trades. So the first one is export trade. When a trader hailing from a particular country, usually called home country, sells his good to a trader or a consumer living in another country, it is called export trade. For example, a trader from India may sell his goods to customer in Iran. So actual meaning of export trade is nothing but if a trader who lives in one country and he is selling his goods to another country, that is export trade. So here the example is given that a trader who is from India, he is selling his goods to the customer who lives in Iran. Let's see what is import trade. When a trader operating his trade in the home country obtains or purchases goods from a trader located in another country, it is called import trade. For example, trader from India may purchase goods from a trader from Singapore. So here the import trade is nothing but if a trader is operating his trade in the home country and he is purchasing goods from the trader who is from another country. So that is nothing but import trade. Here the example is given that a trader from India is purchasing goods from another trader who is from another country, Singapore. Let's see the last division of foreign trade, that is entrepot trade. When goods are imported from one country and later re-exported after effecting some process or without such processing, it is called entrepot trade. In short, it is the re-export of imported trade. For example, an Indian trader purchases some raw material from the Sri Lankan trader, then converts the raw material into finished goods and then gets the finished good re-exported to Britain trader. Here the Indian trader is involved in entrepot trade. So here entrepot trade is nothing but if the goods they are imported from one country and again later they are re-exported after effecting with some process or without some process, that is nothing but entrepot trade. Or in short, some raw materials they are, or in short the re-export of imported goods we can say. Here the example is given that a trader from India, he has taken the goods or he has purchased the goods from another country and again by taking those raw materials he has converted those raw materials into finished goods and again he is selling or re-exporting those finished goods to another country, that is nothing but entrepot trade. So here we can say that the Indian trader is involved in entrepot trade. Now let's have a look at features of internal trade. So the first one is the selling and buying of goods takes place within the boundaries of the same country. So as we have discussed earlier, that selling of goods and services will takes within the boundaries of the country, and the payments are made by the purchaser to the seller in the home country in the domestic currency. So this payment will be done by the purchaser to the seller in the domestic currency. Only a few formalities are required to be completed by the trader. Here under internal trade, there are only few formalities when compared to foreign trade. Features of product are well known to the customers, and here customers, they are well aware of the features of that particular product because they are living in that particular country only. Risk is more because of changes in demand from widely spread localized domestic markets. So here risk is more because the changes will be there in the demand of the customers. The influence of political, social, legal, cultural and economic environment of the country is less when compared with the foreign trade. So when we are comparing this internal trade with the foreign trade, then the influence of political, social, legal and cultural and economic environment of a country will be very less. The goods are manufactured according to the requirements of domestic customers and no specifications are received from the buyers. And here the goods are manufactured according to the requirements or demands from the customers. For physical flow of goods from the manufacturing point to the consuming points, only domestic transportation system is used, and here there will be a physical flow of goods from manufacturing point to the consuming point. Only domestic transportation will be used. Now let's have a look at types of retail trade. Retailers may be classified on the basis of size of business, form of establishment and so on. However, the most commonly used forms of itinerant retailers and fixed shop retailers, the same is explained in the following paragraph. So retailers, they can be classified on the basis of size of the business, form of the establishment and so on. And here most commonly used forms are itinerant retailers and fixed shop retailers. Now let's see what are itinerant retailers. So actually itinerant retailers are those retailers who do not have a fixed place for sale of goods, and different types of itinerant retailers can be discussed below, like hawkers and peddlers, periodic itinerants, street stalls and cheap jacks. So first one is hawkers and peddlers. These itinerant move from place to place with a view to search their customers. The main features of hawkers and peddlers are they sell low cost products such as vegetables, soft toys, flowers and so on. They usually sell unbranded products. The goods are made available at the doorsteps of the customers by the hawkers and peddlers. So hawkers and peddlers are nothing but the traders who will move from one place to another place in view to search a customer, and their main features are that they will sell the goods at low prices, and they will sell the goods such as vegetables, soft toys, flowers and so on, and they usually sell the unbranded products. Their products will not have any brand, and they also make goods available at the doorsteps of the customers. Next one is periodic itinerants. The periodic itinerants or periodic market traders deal with regular products and products which suit certain occasions. In local language, it is called santha or a weekly market. The following are the features of periodic itinerants. They usually sell their products in different markets on a weekly basis. They deal with low priced products such as vegetable, toys, bangles, etc. They also set up shops to sell products to suit certain occasions such as earthen items on the occasion of Deepavali, kites during Sankranti and so on. So actual meaning of periodic itinerants means that they are the traders who will work in the periodic market, or they are also called as periodic market traders, and they will deal with the regular products and products which suit the certain occasions. And in simple language we can say that Santa. Santa is nothing but it's a weekly market, and there this periodic itinerants or periodic market traders will sell their particular goods. So they also have the features like they usually sell the products in different markets on the weekly basis, and they deal with low price products such as vegetables, bangles, toys, etc. And they also set up their shops to sell the products to suit certain occasions such as earthen items on the occasion of Deepavali or kites during the Sankranti and so on. Next one is street stalls. Street traders may display their products on pavements, street corners of different localities in urban areas. So these stall traders, they will display their products on the pavements or at the street corners of the different localities, and their features are they usually operate their business near public places such as railway stations, street corners, etc. And they deal with a variety of low cost items and articles such as posters, raincoats and products which are meant for day to day operations or day to day consumption. Next type is cheap jacks. Cheap jack, the other form of itinerant traders, operate their business from small hired shops for a specified period. They keep moving from place to place. The feature of this form of or type of itinerant trade is, so actually the cheap jacks, they are the other form of itinerant traders which will operate their business from small hired shops or shops for a specified time, and they keep moving from one place to another place, and their features are that they carry out their trade in small rented shops. The moment it is felt that the trade is not going on well at a particular place, they shift to another place. Means if they are not satisfied by selling their goods at one place, then they will shift or they will change their place from that place to another place, and then they will deal in low cost items. They also deal in low cost items, we can say. So this was all about itinerant retailers. Now let's have a look at fixed shop retailers. Fixed shop retailers are those retailers who have a fixed place for sale of goods. They are further classified into small scale fixed retail shops and large scale fixed retail shops. So here the name itself is showing that the fixed shop retailers are the retailers who are having the fixed place to sell their goods, and they are further again classified into two types, that is small scale fixed shops and large scale fixed retail shops. Now when we will see small scale fixed retail shop, again all the general stores, single line stores, specialty stores, street shops, second hand goods shops and second shops, these all will come under small scale fixed retail shops. And under large scale fixed retail shops, departmental stores, multiple shops, mail order retail trade and consumer cooperative store will come. So actually these all types of retail shops will have their particular place where they used to sell their goods. They don't move or migrate from one place to another place. They will be having a shop at a particular spot only. So here we have completed our 8th chapter, that is internal trade. I hope you understood all types of trade very well. This was very interesting chapter, and let's wind up our class here itself and let's continue our next chapter in next class. Thank you.